Good evening. This is the April 22nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Compliance and Amendments Committee. This meeting has been rescheduled to originally begin at 3:45 p.m. The time now is 3:52 p.m. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force and its committees convene in hybrid meetings that allow for in-person attendance, in-person comment, remote access for petitioners and respondents, and remote public comment via teleconference. Meeting decorum. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force or its committees may call for decorum due to the disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and/or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. Chair LaHood, that completes my comments.
Okay, please call the first item.
Item 1, call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. We have no known changes.
Okay, should we call roll?
Yes, calling the roll. Chair LaHood.
Present.
Chair LaHood, present. Member Anderson.
Present.
Member Anderson, present. Member Pilpel.
Present.
Member Pilpel, present. Member Wolf. Member Wolf, absent. 3 present.
Okay, I would like to discuss some a possible agenda change. Member Pilpel noticed that while the agenda reflects the correct time, that notices to participants still listed 4 p.m. Is that correct? Or 4:30 as a start time?
4:30.
Still listed 4:30 as a start time. Do we have any participants here, or was the earlier start time confirmed with them? It might not be a problem because we do still need to go through approval of 2 sets of minutes and public comment. And I was thinking that perhaps we could move item number 11 up, because I have some things to add there. So we could deal with some of those things first.
That must have been in the subject line. We have in the text that the start time was earlier. We have present one caller by telephone number, and we do have one of the respondents present.
Okay. In that case, here's what I'm going to recommend. Let's go in order. And if we get to a case and in the order expected and excuse me, participants are not yet here, I might move item number 11 up. I think it's highly unlikely that we will get to item number 10, since 2 of us, Member Pilpel said he needs to leave at 5:45 and I need to leave a little after 6. So I think we're just going to try to get through the cases today. And then I have a suggestion with item number 11 about perhaps scheduling an extra meeting just to talk about the Sunshine Ordinance.
Noted.
Okay. Member Pilpel?
I just want to be clear on the record, although, and we've talked about this offline, although the agenda says 3:45 regular meeting, I was not at the full task force meeting in April, and I don't know if the full task force took action to move this meeting earlier. Absent that, it is my view, but not necessarily the view of others, that there should have been either a notice to reschedule the meeting, or the regular meeting should have been canceled and this should have been called as a special meeting. This is not a meeting at the regular set time and location of the committee, which would make it a regular meeting. Anything else is something other than a regular meeting, which in my view requires at a minimum a notice of rescheduling. If another body had done this, we might have taken issue with it. And I just want to be sure that we're okay. And I did review, and the notices for the various hearings do say, not in the subject line, but in the text, both in the subject line and in the text, meeting convenes at 4:30. So
Okay,
I just
to be
wanna
clear,
sure.
I discussed the agenda itself with Administrator Peterson, and she said she had discussed it with the clerk's office, and others in the office had confirmed that this should be described as a regular meeting, not as a special meeting, although the time was changed.
There was discussion about whether it should be labeled rescheduled. However, there's nothing in the code that uses the word rescheduled. That is an office procedure.
Okay. So Member Pilpel, your comments are noted.
Okay.
This issue was raised and the clerk's office decided that this is how it should be handled. And so Administrator Peterson, in conference with colleagues, came to this conclusion. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Member Anderson, any thoughts on this, or should we move forward?
That does raise a question, but I believe we can move forward since the issue was discussed. And at that point in time, especially since it was in the clerk's office, if there was an issue about noticing it as a special meeting, then I'm sure it would have been raised at that point. And it wasn't, and that this could be handled the way it is. So
Yeah.
I would say, with all those words, I would say, let's proceed.
Okay, so I feel comfortable proceeding with the meeting. Member Pilpel noting that some of the participants may think the meeting is starting at 4:30. I think we should be extra generous if people are not here exactly when we may expect them to be. Let's take public comment on item number 1.
We have no one in the room. Members of the online community, if you would like to make public comment on item number 1, please raise your hand in the app or press *3 on your phone. I'll give you a moment. We have no hands raised.
Okay. Yes?
I'm happy to proceed, having put my comment on the record. I just wanted to cite and read briefly section 67.6G. If a meeting must be canceled, continued, or rescheduled for any reason, notice of such change shall be provided to the public as soon as possible in the same manner as described in section 67.7C, and mailed notice if sufficient time permits.
Okay, so it sounds like we have complied with what is in the ordinance. Now, given when we review the ordinance, if you think there needs to be something else done, we can discuss at a future point, changing that to require something else if the time or place of a regularly scheduled meeting is changed. Okay, Administrator Peterson, if please call the next item.
Next item, item number 2, approval of the January 20, 2025 Compliance and Amendments Committee meeting minutes.
Okay. Members, do we have any changes? And again, we have 2 sets of minutes on here. We're looking at the January 2025 minutes for approval. Does anyone have any comments or changes on that set of minutes? Administrator Peterson.
And I'll note that there's a footnote on that draft set of minutes noting that it reflects changes received since the first time that was heard.
So that this has been modified since the first time we saw it.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Noted in the footnote.
Okay.
With that understanding, I will move approval of the January minutes there.
I second.
Okay, let's take public comment on the January minutes.
We have no one in the room. Members in the online community, if you'd like to make public comment on item number 2, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. I'll give you a moment. We have no hands raised.
Okay, please call the vote.
That was moved by Member Pilpel, seconded by Member Anderson.
Yes.
Member Pilpel.
Aye.
Member Pilpel, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Chair LaHood.
Aye.
Chair LaHood, aye. 3 ayes.
And Member Wolf absent.
Member Wolf, absent. 3 ayes, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. When you're ready, let's call the next item. Mhm.
Thank you. Item number 3, approval of the February 25, 2025 Compliance and Amendments Committee Special Meeting Minutes.
Okay, members. Now we're looking at the second set of minutes here. This is for February 25th. Do we have any changes to these minutes? Member Pilpel.
Yes, I have a number of changes, but I think they're all pretty quick. So let me run through them.
Okay, before you run through them,
Yes.
Administrator Peterson, if these are simple changes, are you prepared to make note of them, or Member Pilpel, are you going to
I'm
hand
going to
them over?
submit.
Okay, let's hear them. And if they're simple, we may be able to approve.
I think so.
Okay.
I hope so. Item 1, line 1 at the end, Chair LaHood has 2 O's.
So my name is misspelled in the second instance. Yes, thank
Correct.
you.
Should always be spelled correctly. Item 2, second line, approval of the January 30th minutes to insert the next meeting.
Okay, that's really minor, but
Right.
okay.
Page 2, the Jimmer Cassiel paragraph, I would just spell out human resources rather than HR. There was an instance later where I left IT as is, but I was less concerned. Fourth line, task force to understand them, I thought reads better.
Okay, so I said would like help from the task force with understanding them to would like help from,
The task force to
understand them.
It's not a big deal.
I would leave that one, just
That's
leave
fine.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Cassiol, it's misspelled.
His name is misspelled in the fourth line of the non-italicized paragraph. Okay,
Right. Stated that insert he is willing.
okay,
The next paragraph, Vivian Poe, insert city administrator's office before respondent to make clear her affiliation. Stated that after the task force meeting, I would replace they with staff. It's not clear who the they is. Fourth line, responded to the petitioner with government code sections. They were plural.
mhm,
After a question and answer period occurred, there's a line on the next page that Member Wolf was noted present at 5:17. I think that should be moved up prior to the action because Member Wolf voted on the action, and I think it flows better to indicate that he was there before the action. The text is on the top of the
Okay.
second page, so just moving that in the action block just to add the before respondent and petitioner. On the next page, in the middle, Jen Court, I would insert city attorney's office before respondent, same explanation. Exhibit A, insert comma. Second line, I think I recall that all administrative settlements have been produced, comma, and were sent by FTP on 2/21. That was my recollection. Because the discussion later was on whether to resend, but I believe that Ms. Court said that the settlements were produced and were sent.
Oh, and actually, that would be correct because this meeting happened on the 25th.
Right.
Okay,
And the discussion was whether they'd been
Mhm.
received because they were sent on the previous Friday. So anyway, so would say were sent by FTP.
mhm,
Ms. Court further stated, replace they with that she
mhm,
checked with, and here I just left it as IT. In the action block, there were 3 instances where I would insert the before petitioner, and I think I would drop furthermore in the second graph. I would leave the rest of the text, but I thought the word furthermore was surplus. On page 4, I just like the style, the meeting was in recess from time to time, but I'm not going to go nuts about that. On item 6, after the public comment,
Wait. Where do you want the meeting was in recess from time to time?
at the top of page 4, rather than a break was taken.
I don't see a break. Oh, a break was taken. Sorry, didn't drink water today. That seems very minor to me, and I would just leave that.
Okay. I would just prefer that we use that style going forward, but again, not a big deal. On public comment, Richard Nee, I think it should say SOTF member. I don't know that we have a board. It's just, he was a task force member, did a fine job. After the public comment, I would insert no action was taken so that it's very clear that all we did was review and perhaps discuss. On item 7, I think it reads better to say Member Pilpel reported the full task force that the commission streamlining task force, not referring to a proposition by letter, met on 1/31/2025, comma, the rest of it is fine. And then add after that public comment, none.
Okay. My feeling is if you had offered fewer than 6, that maybe we could just approve, but I think there are too many changes and that we need to see those in line. Member Anderson, what do you think?
I agree. Could you submit your changes to
Absolutely.
Pat? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And in the future, and I know it's not always possible, but I believe Ms. Peterson is getting the draft minutes out fairly soon after our meetings. If you could try to get those and offer your comments, which are very helpful, I will note, if you could get those back to her before the agenda is sent out, I think that will help us move things along faster, especially since we usually have quite a bit of time between our meetings.
Doing what we can here.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public, oh wait, first we need a motion, or actually, no, I'm going to say to the call of the chair, let's continue this to our approval to the next meeting, but I still would like to offer opportunity for public comment.
That's fine, but I think a motion would be in order to do that.
To make it to the call of the chair?
Yeah.
Okay, I motion that we continue approval of the February 25th, 2025 Compliance and Amendments Committee meeting minutes to the call of the chair.
Second.
And I will submit the evidence.
Moved by Chair LaHood, seconded
Oh,
by
first we need public comment on the motion.
Member
sorry.
Anderson. There's no one in the room. Taking public comment on item number 3, approval of the February 2025 minutes. If you'd like to make public comment, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We currently have one hand raised.
Okay.
Hello, caller. Do you wish to make public comment on item number 3?
Yes. Can you hear me?
No, it's on.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm just testing it. Okay, well, really good. First off, I'm not exactly sure the scope of this forum versus the other one, the regular Sunshine Task Force Board.
Pause. We are taking comments right now on our motion to continue approval of the February 25th, 2025 minutes. We just had a brief discussion about changes to those minutes. This is an opportunity to make public comment on that item. Okay, please continue.
Okay, well, good. I approve of your intentions and that this forum exists. So go forward with my compliments on this matter specifically.
Would you care to share your name with us?
Oh, brother. Aaron Wilson, double A, R-O-N. No, I have no problem with it, obviously. Aaron Wilson. I have a matter pending later in this process.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you for your comment. We appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Ms. Peterson, any further comment, public comment on that item?
We have no other callers in the queue.
Okay, let's call the vote.
Taking the vote on item number 3, Chair LaHood.
Aye.
Chair LaHood, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Pilpel.
Aye.
Member Pilpel, aye. Member Wolf, absent.
Okay,
3 ayes, 1 absent.
thank you. Please call the next item.
Item number 4, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. We have no one in the room. Members of the online community, raise your hand in the app or press *3, please, if you'd like to comment on item number 4. We have no one in the room, no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Before we proceed to item number 5, Ms. Peterson, could we confirm that participants, that the petitioner and the respondent for that item are here? And I believe those would be the participant and respondent for both items number 5 and 6. If they're not here, then I think we should take item number 11, but let's see if they are here.
Is there anyone in the online community here for item number 5? That is file number 23020, Mr. Neha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency. Please raise your hand in the app or press *3. It doesn't appear we have anyone here yet for item number 5.
Let me ask you, do we have the participants from both sides for any other item on the agenda?
We do. We have Mr. Aaron Wilson for item number 8. And we do have DeVaris Robinson from the Homelessness and Supportive Housing Group.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion that we move item 8 up on the agenda and take that ahead of item number 5. Could I have a second on this?
I actually think you can do this one without a.
Oh, I can do it without a motion. Then if the participants are willing, I would like to take item number 8 next.
Parties, Mr. Wilson, could you please raise your hand again so that I know which caller you are? Are you beginning with 415948? You are not. You are the other caller. One moment, please, promoting you both to panelist. Before I move you, caller,
Aaron
this is Mr. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one moment, please. Hold on. I'm going to move you to panelist position. You'll be able to unmute and mute yourself. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
Chair LaHood, we're ready.
Okay, thank you, petitioner and respondent, for being here. What we're going to do is give each of you 5 minutes to give us an update. As you know, this is compliance and amendments, so we're here to find out about how compliance has been proceeding since the meeting with the full task force. So, Mr. Wilson, we're going to give you 5 minutes. Ms. Peterson will let you know when your time has begun. And then we will hear from the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing next. Yes, we'll give each party 5 minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, are you ready for your 5 minutes to begin?
Oh, we will.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, but forgive me. Before we do that, Member Pilpel noted we need to call the item first.
Calling file matter number 8, file number 25001. Complaint filed by Aaron Wilson against the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. On February 5, 2025, the task force ordered respondent to examine potentially responsive documents and ordered production of any non-client service records that are not otherwise legally protected from disclosure or any portions thereof, and referred the matter to the Compliance and Amendments Committee.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Peterson, when you're ready, let's give Mr. Wilson his 5 minutes to speak.
Mr. Wilson, are you ready?
Yes.
Your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay. I received a document dump this morning. I hadn't heard from Tavares Robinson prior to this morning. So that whole period of time, he decided to do it the last minute, which means I haven't had a chance to go over the sizable amount of documents that I was dumped on this morning. But I did look at one of them, the first one, and I'm happy to say that the stuff I thought was there is, i.e., prejudicial commentary about Aaron Wilson, about my status specifically. As the previous panel of chairperson noted last time, I have a sort of local persona, okay, as an advocate. And that's admitted in the document here that I'm looking at by the one of the HSH people to another. And so I wasn't making this up. There it is for everyone to see, documented. So my fears were realized, certainly, that they did have this conversation about me, these prejudicial comments, how I was viewed. It's there. So I knew it was there. Now I have the documents, at least one of them, to prove it. So we're on the right track. I should have been, again, given this a lot earlier so I could make a comprehensive review and say I can report back and, hey, I think we're okay now. I can't say that because he gave it to me this morning, and I have other stuff. I didn't know he was coming. So he should do better, Tavares, in giving me some time prior to the hearing to review what essentially is a compliance effort. Okay, so now, one particular delineation I want to make here is that this batch is emails that I precipitated. So in other words, Aaron sends an email, and then there's this commentary going back and forth, not between me and others exclusively, but between others that I've CC'd, for example, or other people that are pulled in from HSH that are, get it forwarded to them, and so on and so forth. So that's good. These are things that all these emails I got today are ones I started. What I want, in addition to this, and it's reasonable to suggest that it exists based on what I've got, that there are conversations going on, prejudicial, about a known and admitted advocate, a public persona, that I didn't initiate. In other words, one HSH person calling the city attorney, I don't know if they're here today, or because they're mentioned as being reviewers of these documents prior to sending them to me. So what did HSH say to city attorney about Aaron Wilson? That's not included because Aaron Wilson didn't start that conversation, and so on and so forth. I think you get the drift there. I want, as the request stated, all the communications about where I'm talked about. And again, it's not off of my head. People are talking about me. No, it's admitted. It's right there in the first one. And I believe there's a pattern of this, again, because I'm an advocate for myself and other human beings at the site, and they treated us very adversarial. And that's the thing. These are not complimentary things they're talking about me. These are very prejudicial. And it's why I knew it was there, because that's the way they were treating me, and these emails are evidence of it. Of course, they're lying in these as well, but that's a side issue. I want all of it. I want the conversations between HSH and others that are not precipitated by me starting the thread. So,
30 seconds.
Okay, lastly, I asked for everything. So I'm entitled to text messages, those quick, informal bursts of communication. Didn't get those. I didn't ask for them specifically in this request, but I did allude to it, like other forms would be helpful, not only email, but other forms of data communication. So I would ask that, in conclusion, that I get the whole enchilada, not half of it. If I could
That
possibly
concludes your time.
get the
Thank
whole
you,
truth.
Mr. Wilson. That concludes your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And when Ms. Peterson is ready, she'll let the respondent know that it's their turn to speak.
Mr. Robinson, are you ready for your 5 minutes to begin?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, your 5 minutes begins now.
Thank you. Hello again. My name is Devaris Robinson. I'm the Sunshine and Compliance Officer over at HSH. I just want to add again that this was my first time receiving a request from someone purporting.
Mr. Robinson, could you pull away from the mic just a bit? It's a little difficult to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Oh, awesome. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so just wanted to add again, this was my first time receiving a request from someone within my less than a year in the role of someone purporting to be a client as the subject of the request, seeking, emails or data that mentioned them in relation to the services that they were receiving by providers and or the site. Nonetheless, when we received the request, immediately I made a call to staff for responsive records, but I consulted our privacy officer and our local city attorney just to, affirm and confirm that I was handling this appropriately. And it was just determined that the appropriate channel for this request was the client record request form. So just giving context again, we provided him a client record request form to fill out, to verify his identity, to then just release the records that we had pulled. Again, ultimately, this case led to me trying to really find a better way of standardizing requests that are submitted with this level of nuance with respect to privacy. And so after being ordered to, just re-review these records and really just apply the lens to the best of our ability to which they were public records, which I did previous to this, we were literally viewing them as client records. We determined that there were some records that actually could be construed as public records. So I'm appreciative of this exercise. A very small portion of the records that we determined could be argued as public records still included redactions, but solely of the personal identifying information of other clients in that space that had nothing to do with the subject of the request. But overwhelmingly, the majority, and as Mr. Wilson referenced, the bulk of the records that we identified as potentially being argued as public records could be construed as such just because the subject CC'd, multiple other departments and agencies, including HUD, meaning that there would not be as strong of an argument to safeguard the privacy of the subject as though they were communications about services held specifically between them and our department. And again, that was a learning moment for me after having processed this and been guided as though this was literally just a client record request. So very appreciative of that. Also to Aaron, very much so did my best to take this in as a learning moment, and also will add that I got my final go ahead and approval after my last review to make sure we were all in alignment with CAT yesterday evening. So that's just why you got the records when you did. But other than that, I will say overwhelmingly the majority of the records that we reviewed were still considered client records. It was about 115 of them, solely because they were communications that were had with respect to this client receiving services, examples like, ADA issues and a whole host of other things that obviously did not include other city departments or the Housing and Urban Development federal agency. So that's where we stood, and that's the bulk of our response, and I yield my time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Members, I have a question, but let me defer to you first. Do you have any questions for either party?
I have a couple. I'll make it brief. First, in the packet, I notice on page 11 to Mr. Robinson, just a brief thing. The top right corner of page 11, I hope you've updated your template, the mayor's name is misspelled. Maybe we should fix that.
Right.
Making a note.
Yes, thank you.
Got it. Also to the packet, the task force acted on this in February. I'll come back to that in a second, but the order of determination was not in the packet, and I'm wondering to our administrator where that OD is.
I should have attached it.
Got it. Okay. And it appeared that there was no other communication subsequent to the order. So, and I think we can, yeah, dispense with the timer. So I guess the biggest question is what took so long and why did it take until yesterday to get final approval and make records available today when the task force acted in February? And even if there had been a records request at that time and with an extension and all of that should have properly concluded by, no later than the end of February, it seems. I mean, it seems like this was 2.5 months more than it should have taken. And the initial request was back in December. So, so again, Mr. Robinson, can you tell us more about kind of what took so long?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to that processually again. So this is my first time in this rodeo and figuring this out. When we first processed it and after I received guidance to comfortably determine this as being most appropriately handled through the client record request process, which is facilitated by our privacy officer, I just made the call for responsive records and closed it out as a sunshine under the assumption that we would just release the records through our privacy officer's team once they submitted the form. Again, that may have been an oversight on my end. Again, I was very much still learning. But in terms of navigating the release and the follow-up, it took a lot of consulting for me to not view this as a client record request after that initial guidance, which was a learning part on my end. And we have a lot of other records requests that we were still receiving, very high volume, very voluminous, and still getting that system down. So I'm adding that into the concept. But one thing I've learned more recently with respect to this issue was that typically, I guess in this instance, we were to provide the records in advance. I wasn't sure if that was going to be facilitated through this task force hearing or not. Again, just very new to all of this in general, but not an excuse, nor does it align with like a desire to, not produce the records in any way, shape, or form. Just that's I'm navigating this.
I understand the change in perspective and learning moment and all of that. I guess I'm just confused, for lack of a better term, because I thought we went through all of that at the February hearing at the full task force and gave direction and made an order that the records requested should be provided. And so I would have assumed that regardless of when you got the written order, that you got the word that night, and I would have, started the next morning with your privacy officer, with Dylan, with the city attorney, with whoever you needed to work with to get the records that I think you'd already discovered and had, but you weren't sure how to provide them with the release and all that you would work through those issues starting in early February. And again, that it should not have taken 2.5 months to get to now. Did you have anything further on that? Or is that really
I understand that. That's really just what happened, and I understand you, and I'm taking that into consideration. Thank you.
Member Anderson, you had a question.
Yes, I just had a question regarding the data that was submitted to the complainant today via email. Does that include any electronic communications? Do you know off the top of your head, or is it only basically, telephonic, text message type communications? Or is it only emails where, again, as indicated, most of the time he initiated the email and then it was discussion back and forth after that?
Oh, great question. Yeah, they were all email communications that were produced responsive to this request.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
Okay. How long do you think it would take you to review the doc? I don't know what the volume of records was that was given to you today. How long do you think it would take you to review those?
I could probably get through that. I'd be ready Monday next
Okay.
week.
I guess my question to you is, would you like to have time to review those and then have this matter come back to compliance and amendments so we can sign off on it? Or do you feel comfortable that you've probably received what you need and can review it on your own time and then let us know if there's an issue? Or would you like us to plan to all come back together again and affirm that you have what you think you should have?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, let's do it again because, one document isn't enough to make a determination. I think anybody could understand that. And this is a serious matter and it's gone on for a long time. So I think a little bit longer before we close it out. Hopefully we can close it out. Is warranted, and since this is about corruption and about a place, the Bayview Vehicle Triage Center, that McSpadden, the head of HSH, admits that was a blunder, a reassessment has to be done, and so on and so forth.
Hello, everyone.
Hold on, I'm almost done. The inner workings of these conversations and these sort of things are helpful to bring it to the surface on what went wrong as far as from the residents, as they call us, or the guests, as they call us, perspective. I mean, we have a say too, and this gives us a chance to know what they were saying about me and others perhaps, and how we can make a better situation going forward. So we really need to have as many of the documents come forward as possible so we can see what went wrong with a very expensive project that spent like over $15 million in 2.5 years or something. What went wrong? It's admitted it went wrong. What went wrong? And perhaps we can do a better job for those people that are living in their RVs. Again, it's a very special niche, specific niche of the homeless population. So yes, please, let's do it again.
Okay, thank you. And just to note, it sounds like Member Wolf arrived. Member Wolf, what time did you arrive?
I noted
Just about
4:45.
like 30 seconds ago.
Okay. Ms. Peterson has your arrival time. We jumped ahead to item number 8.
Okay.
So members, sure, Member Pilpil.
I have no problem continuing it to the call of the chair, understanding that we're not sure when. It could be sooner, hopefully sooner rather than later. I have a couple of suggestions or stipulations.
Okay.
To that end, I would love to get a brief statement from HSH in writing, acknowledging that it took from February to now, and that in the future, when there's an order from the task force, they will move on that sooner. Secondly, or related, that something about how HSH will be treating records requests going forward and distinguishing between client services type requests and public records requests, and where there's ambiguity, how to proceed. The third is, to the extent that there were redactions in the documents released, I just wanted to understand that there were proper citations for those redactions. I may assume that they're there. I may not. I don't actually need to see the documents, but I just wanted, a line that says there were proper redactions and there were citations justifying those redactions. And fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, that if there are any text messages, that they be searched for and provided if they exist.
Okay, I'm going to push back on that because looking at the initial request and the
If
way
it's
it's,
not-
no, I'm going to read this to you. It says,
That's fine.
I request emails primarily, but other mediums of data would be helpful too. But then he goes on to say emails mentioning me, Aaron Wilson, as it relates to blah, 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 emails. And he said the above grouping is probably will be the case that just Aaron may be used. I'm the only Aaron at the Bayview VTC. So because he initially says emails primarily, but other mediums of data would be helpful too, but then goes on to only discuss emails. Members, what do you like? I almost feel like he needs to make another records request for things beyond emails because of the way it was worded. Do any members disagree with me? Because it was sort of so much in passing as to seem that I don't know that someone reading this would know to look for anything but emails.
I would agree.
Okay.
Because I don't think we're here to expand, this is Member Anderson, to expand the information requested.
Right.
So if there's additional information, there should be an addendum
Right.
to the
And
department, so they have an opportunity to review.
they should respond to that. Member Wolf, I think I heard you jumping in, and just to make things easy for you, this is on page 10.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a chance to get there and then comment. But yeah, and having this conversation with Mr. Robinson, I think he would know that if he receives such a request, he should respond to it in a timely manner and would have a clear understanding of what he would need to respond to in terms of, if there were text messages or any other services used, texts, signal messages, whether or not we're supposed to be using those, or emails that may have been sent with private email addresses. Those should
Group
also be
chat.
included. Sorry?
Group chat is one I know they use. I've seen screenshots of those from other people who have collected those at the site. So group chat
Okay.
is used. I know that for a fact.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, thank you. So, Mr. Wilson, I would say this to you. I think, and I'll get confirmation from the members here, but I think we might be going in a direction where you would need to file a new request asking for those kinds of communications. And I think my suspicion is that this department would respond in a timely manner because they've just gone through this with us and can avoid coming back here on that matter if they respond quickly. Member,
Can I say my defense? This is
hold on,
my
hold
first
on, hold on.
FOIA I ever did.
Hey,
My defense
Thank you
is
for-
I didn't know.
no. Listen. Good job. Everybody's got to learn, and I think members of the public learn how to make the request more precise by going through the process. So,
Okay.
Member Wolf, you had a thought on the specificity of the original request.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I
I do
can
want
live with that.
Okay, and I do want to, Member Pilpel, I hear what you're asking for. And since we are coming back, I just want to make sure that we're responding to the required compliance. And I get the sense that the department, and while, Mr. Robinson, as he said, is learning about this, I'm not sure at this point, do we need to assign him additional works to put in writing? I promise to do things like this in the future.
I think
I like that.
I think it's worth having something along those lines. That's a brief email that says, we got it. This is what we're doing going forward. We've provided the records, maybe some summary of how many records, how many pages, whatever appropriate redactions were made. Citations were provided.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Let me ask,
just a very brief thing.
let me ask member Anderson and member Wolf, how do you feel about this request?
I would agree as far as the redactions are concerned, that we do have the citations, because that's what's required. I think as far as the department and whether or not they promise to do this or that, I don't know that this particular forum is the place to do it. Maybe in the full task force, we can say that maybe we need to advise departments that this is the way the process works. These are the things you need to look at. But as far as doing it here on this particular case, it appears that Mr. Robinson, he's getting it, you know, and I don't think we need to say write a letter.
I'm not looking for a,
email.
right. I'm just looking for something brief. I don't want to bring this back to the full task force. I hope at the next hearing, whenever that is here, we can put this to bed. I think that there are some specifics about HSH and their client service orientation that may be similar to HSA or DPH, but are fairly unique and not applicable to most city departments. And so that's why I'm reluctant to bring it up to guidance at the full task force level. And I think there is some appropriate sensitivity here to client services and folks at the VTC or elsewhere with the variety of issues that they're dealing with. And I think we get that. That's why I just thought that a brief email would capture.
I'm going to make a recommendation to move things forward just because we do need to move things forward. I'd like to make a motion that we continue this matter and ask the participants to return once after Mr. Wilson has had a chance to review the documents he has received, to verify that he has received what he's requested. I also want to give Mr. Robinson a chance to write an email to the task force attesting that redactions were cited. So meaning that you've told us with each redaction what was withheld. So if it's, identifying personal client information, or if it was, I don't think this is the case in this one, but if it were something like attorney-client privilege or something like that, we need to know the reason for the redactions in the documents that you sent to Mr. Wilson. And then based on Member Pilpel's request, I think a brief description of how your department is handling requests from clients that may involve information about themselves. And Member Pilpel, you were saying you want to know essentially the procedure. If you get a request like this in the future, a sort of brief outline of how you will handle requests like this going forward. Does that make?
I'll second. I can live with all that. And that's to continue the matter to the call of the chair, requesting both parties to provide a brief response to this committee from the.
Well, we will meet again. So yes. So we're asking
for our packet next.
Well, we're asking for Mr. Wilson to come back, and he doesn't need to write anything, although he may if he wants to. We're asking him to come back and tell us if he has received what he was looking for. Although I would recommend, Mr. Wilson, if you have not, or perhaps in either way, it might be helpful to let us know in advance. And Mr. Robinson, we are asking you for some information in writing, which is verification that you have, that you noted the what the redactions were, what was redacted in each case of redaction, and also letting us know what your procedure will be if you receive similar requests like this one in the future.
Yes, I'd like to say something here. The delineation aspect by the previous board member is really key here, because this excuse HSH gave, Tavares gave, was wrong. And that's why we're here today. And we through everything already, and it's too blanket. Okay, it doesn't cover everything like it wants to.
Okay,
So we need the
Wilson,
delineation.
Mr.
It is a
Wilson,
fine line.
thank you. We're asking, we want to know if any, for whatever was redacted, what was the type of information that was redacted? We're not asking for what the information was, but the type of information. So if it was information about other clients, or if it was personal contact information, we just need to know in each instance what was withheld.
Okay.
And I would just add,
You know what
Mr.
other
Wilson-
idea?
Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson, I need to stop you. We're not going back and forth about this. Forgive me. It's just
All right.
it's not how we run these meetings. Member Pilpo, and then we
Okay,
need to move forward
Yeah.
because we have other things we need to do.
I seconded the motion, and just back to Mr. Wilson, if there's anything else you'd like us to focus on next time, that would be helpful in a brief email to us, and we will look at that as part of.
That's a very good point. So if there's anything that you think needs to be brought to our attention, an email in advance could be very helpful. So
All right, sent where?
sent to
SOTF.
SOTF@sfgov.org.
Thank you.
SOTF as in Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. So SOTF@sfgov. Wait, am I giving the right email?
Yes.
sfgov.org. Yes.
It's Mrs. Peterson gets it, right?
That's correct. She gets all of those emails.
And just reference his
Okay,
file
got
number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Member Anderson, Member Wolf.
Excuse me, that was an important statement. Please reference the file number 25001 so that the email is attributed to the correct file.
That would be great.
No more comment.
Okay, Member Wolf.
Fumbling for the
Okay,
button. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
okay. Let's take public comment on the motion.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item number 8, file 25001, please approach the podium if you're in the room. If you're in the online community, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, please call the vote.
Calling the vote on item number 8, file 25001. Chair LaHood.
Aye.
Chair LaHood, aye. Member Pilpel.
Aye.
Member Pilpel, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Anderson. Aye. Member Anderson, aye. 4 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Robinson, thank you for joining us. You will hear from Ms. Peterson about when we will get together to discuss this again. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Parties.
Ms. Peterson, let's move on to file numbers 5 and 6, which I think we should take together as they were taken together at the task force.
Noted. One moment, please. Calling items 5 and 6 together. Item number 5, file number 23020. Complaint filed by Paul Neha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.25, by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner. Item number 6, file number 23036. Complaint filed by Paul Neha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a request for records in a timely and/or complete manner. On March 6, 2024, file numbers 23020 and 23036 were called and heard together. The task force found a violation of 67.27 by withholding records without justification and referred the matter to the Compliance and Amendments Committee if Mr. Neha informed the task force administrator within 5 business days that he had not received the records. On October 31, 2024, Mr. Neha notified the task force that 5 business days had passed and he had not received any documents from the SFMTA.
Okay, are the parties here?
Parties in the online community, if you are here for item number 5, file number 23020 and 23036, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no hands raised.
Okay, we are well past the starting time of the meeting, so I am going to recommend that we table these items and come back to them and move on to item number 7. So Ms. Peterson will introduce the next item.
File number 7, file number 23086. Complaint filed by Mike Spencer against the police department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a records request in a timely and/or complete manner. On August 7, 2024, the task force found a violation of Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, for lack of timely disclosure of public records and the improper reliance on Section 67.24 sub D, requesting that the police department propose a procedure to implement Section 67.24 sub D, requesting that the police department propose a procedure to implement Section 67.24 D in coordination with the district attorney and provide that language to the task force for a follow-up hearing at the Compliance and Amendments Committee.
Okay, I can see that we have the petitioner here. Do we have a respondent, someone here representing the police department?
Lieutenant Ozol, are you in the online community, and could you raise your hand, please? I received confirmation that he'd be attending. Would you mind if I take a moment and check?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. I do not see an update since his last comment this morning that he would be attending. He did provide in writing a written response.
I did see that, and I was happy to see that. I'm sorry that he is not here now, but I do want to give Mr. Spencer a chance to update us on where things stand from his perspective. So let's give Mr. Spencer 5 minutes, and when Ms. Peterson's ready with the timer, she'll let you know.
Hello, Mr. Spencer. Are you
Hello.
ready for your 5 minutes?
I am ready.
Okay, your 5 minutes starts now.
All right, let me give you an update. In the last year, San Francisco police have complied and released to me about 700 written pages from the case file of their investigation into the homicide death, June 12, 1998, of victim Gary Vincent Murphy. So I am grateful for that, but the last time we spoke, which I think might have been, June of last year, I had requested, and I'm looking at my original request from January 28th, 2022. The police in this case sort of kept sloppy records. And I know from reading the written records that there are audio cassettes galore. When the case was passed from one investigator to the other, there are very little written records, but there was audio cassettes. So the new investigator in 2012 reviewed those audio cassettes to bring himself up to speed. So one of the things in my original request, and we didn't quite resolve the last time, is I would like to listen to those audio cassettes, whether I get it might be cumbersome for them to make copies of 1990s audio cassettes, But if it's easiest just to allow me access and allow me to listen to them, maybe that's a way of sort of resolving this. So that's one thing I'm still interested in. And referring back to my request from January 28th, 2022, I had also requested any and all departmental emails about the case and emails and written correspondence about the case to or from the San Francisco District Attorney. I've never received anything from police about their communications with the district attorney. And some of you might recall that I had a parallel request to the San Francisco District Attorney, whose official position on this case is they don't know anything about it, have no records about it, nothing. So really what brings me back today is just following through to try to listen to those audio cassettes and trying to see whether there were any emails or communication between police and the San Francisco District Attorney on this case. And that's really probably the last two matters that I'm interested in. So that's about the state of things.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Peterson, do we have someone from the police department?
Lieutenant Ozol is trying to join us. He has been online.
Oh, good.
Trying to
Okay.
confirm which, where he is. Just a moment, please. We're checking.
Okay.
I've asked him to hang up and call in again.
Okay.
And he's doing so. Hello, caller. Is this Lieutenant Ozol?
Hi, this is Paul Knie. I had technical difficulties, but I am here. I'm present. I'm not sure why that wasn't called earlier.
Thank you for letting us know.
Mr. Niha, we're
Yeah.
glad you're here. We'll take your cases after we finish this one.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
We have a new caller. Lieutenant Ozol, did you just join us? Would you please raise your hand in the app? One moment, please.
Mhm.
Let me respond to him.
Can I ask Mr. Spencer a question in the meantime?
Let's just get, you'll get the first question.
Hello, members of the committee. This is Jonathan Ozel, SFPD.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You. Okay,
Okay, Lieutenant Ozel, we're going to give you,
just a moment, please. Lieutenant, I'm promoting you to panelist.
All right.
Lieutenant, you're a panelist.
okay, Lieutenant Ozel, we just heard from Mr. Spencer and gave him a chance to update us. We're going to give you 5 minutes, and we did receive your letter. So if you want to give us an update, and then the committee members are going to ask you both some questions.
Okay. Good afternoon, committee members. I apologize for the delay in getting on, and I did miss part of Mr. Spencer's asks. I know we have been providing information to him on a rolling basis. I know he talked about still wanting some more records, and I could certainly talk with him and the committee more about that. Looking at the case file, it is a rather large one. It goes back to 2019. As my new role at SAPD Legal, I've looked through it. I am here, to respond to the committee's request for formulating a written policy. I did submit that. I know that you all got that. I am glad. And essentially, to summarize that, as a result of this ongoing case, and the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force ordered the police department to provide a written record of procedures in place with regard to how the police department corroborates or collaborates, I should say, with the district attorney's office as far as investigations are concerned, whether cases are open or not, and whether or not we can proceed to disclose records. I hope that the committee saw that my predecessor, Lieutenant Beauchamp, after the Sunshine Ordinance made an order, disseminated a very comprehensive set of internal policies to all of our members by email on September 16th, which kind of broke down, again, the procedures that we would like our members to follow who are working with these public records requests to ascertain whether or not cases are open and actively being investigated, so that we can comply with the Cal PRA and SF Admin Code 6724D. I believe these policies in place have been working well. We've been adjusting them here and there. In fact, today, we have ongoing conversations with the district attorney's office and our city attorney, and we had another discussion today as this is kind of a working policy that we need to update as needed. And so with that, I will pause here, and if there are any questions, I'll let the committee and Mr. Spencer respond.
Okay, thank you. I do want to say sending that policy, that was very helpful to see that. It's good to know that that has been sent out through the department and that it is being used. I think that will be helpful in many situations. I am going to give Member Pilpel I'll let you go first and then I'll come back because I do have some questions, but go ahead.
Thanks. Okay. First to Mr. Spencer, in my mind, I kind of separated this into the policy stuff going forward and your specific request. So as to, unless you have comments on the policy going forward, which we're happy to hear, on your specific request, you said that you've gotten some 700 pages of stuff. There may be more coming. You're working with them, or they're working with.
I believe they have released the entire paper copies of the file.
Okay. If there's more paper, you'll get it in the fullness of time, but it sounds like there's some, whatever. There may be more paper. I don't know. but it sounds like you were interested in audio tapes. Lieutenant Ozol, are you aware of audio tapes, and are there audio tapes that can be provided in some fashion, whether it's tape or transferred to some other medium that would make Mr. Spencer happier?
So I am not aware of any audio tapes, but I will go back after we are finished and to make sure that if there are any, that we could provide those right away to Mr. Spencer.
Okay, and you guys can go back and forth if you need to point to a specific reference or a box or a date or whatever, you'll provide that. And so, Lieutenant Ozol, if you could continue to communicate with Mr. Spencer, if there are any paper records or in any other medium that you're finding them, if you could summarize that and say, you know, you've got X number of other folders that you're going through and reviewing or whatever, just so that you can keep each other up to date on status. And if you could check for this issue of tapes. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need to be the actual tape. It's the voice that I assume Mr. Spencer is looking for. So if the tape is so old that there's still a way to transfer it to some other digital format, I think what you're looking for is the content of the conversation. Yes?
Correct. You know, from start to finish of the key interviews.
Got it. So if you guys can work that out and try to figure that out, if it's disclosable in whatever format makes it work, that would be great. That's on. Okay. And thank you for your willingness to work with Mr. Spencer on this. That's on his specific request. On the overall policy, I like this and I appreciate seeing it. I'm not sure that I know or care what a QCA mask is or the SVU or the TCF. That's all internal fun stuff for you guys. That's in the future, if there's a request that involves the question of an active case or a closed case, it would just be helpful, and maybe this is where you're going with this, if you can inform the task force if a specific PD investigative unit is still actively working on it, if you can identify that unit or units in the future, or if it's with the DA's office, if you can say it's with the DA's office, just somehow so that you're not just going through these steps, but that you're, you know, at some point telling us or telling the petitioner why something isn't being provided. Otherwise, I commend you on this text, and I'm not looking for anything more from the PD right now, but I think this is something perhaps to include in your overall sunshine and public records procedures. I would hope that it's not just this page and a half, but that you have other bits and pieces about how things get done over there. So at some point when you get moved somewhere else, that your colleagues and successors won't have to start from scratch, but that you've got, you know, kind of a set of procedures for how things work. Does that all sound about right?
Very good. Yeah, no, I completely agree. We do have others. It is a working document, and we continue to train our staff members as they come on board with these procedures and refine them so that we're responsive. The bottom line is we need to respond, and if there are specific exemptions, it is my instruction, and the staff is aware that we're trying to get them to be able to identify what those are and let folks who are requesting these documents know, like specifically, what is the code? This is what you requested. Specifically, this is why we couldn't release it at the time, or we released it, in whole or in part. So it's an ongoing process that we continue to refine, and I'm happy that I think we're going in the right direction, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay. I mean, I can just anticipate that whether it's Mr. Spencer or others, that would ask about an open investigation, that you may find that pick a detail, the auto burglary detail is still investigating a particular matter, and you might make a note in a file that as of today, April 22nd, 2025, auto burglary reports that they still have an active investigation in that matter, because somebody may come back in 5 or 10 years about the same matter, and you would go back to auto burglary and they would say, no, we're done with that, or nope, that's still an active investigation, that you would be able to track those kinds of things. It seems to me like there are not that many public records requests that you get that involve an active investigation, and so you, at some point, that exemption for an investigation being active may extinguish. But it may not. It depends on the matter.
Okay,
Anyway,
we got it. Okay.
thank you.
Members, Member Anderson, Member Wolf.
No further questions from me.
Okay, Member Wolf.
Same here. The
Okay.
member football covered all my points.
Okay. I think, would someone like to make a motion to, it does seem like we might need to continue this to hear back on what happens with the tapes. Oh, you also had, actually, Mr. Spencer had mentioned the emails. Lieutenant Ozol, can you, and I don't know if you heard this part, but Mr. Spencer said he had not received anything about email correspondence about this case between the police department and the DA's office. Is that something that you, and Mr. Spencer, are you certain that it's not within the files that you have received so far?
There is scant mention. The file just has the summary from the former detective on the case, Wincoop, saying, I met with the DA and the DA declined to charge. But there's no, I don't know. I mean, there could be, there's nothing. But I just can't imagine there's zero communication going on, whether it's in written memos or emails about a uncharged murder case.
Lieutenant Ozol, since we're going to invite you back here just to let us know what happens with the cassettes, could you could you do a search of emails between the police department and the DA's office regarding this case?
I can, and I will make that request. I apologize. I have no, I don't have a record of whether or not that was made and if we provided that, but I certainly will do that now.
Okay, and I think the best thing to do would be to refer back to Mr. Spencer's original records request. And Ms. Peterson, you wanted to note something about that?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we referred back and that
Right.
it was an original request.
Right. So actually, let's look really quickly. Do we have the original request? What page is the original request on?
Because this was a return, we were looking only at the more.
This is why I want
I
everything in
know.
the file. I know, and you guys were pushing back on that.
All right.
It's a big file,
Yes.
for sure.
It's not in this packet,
I know, it's not in this packet.
but I think we now understand.
If I may, I was
Yes.
sort of looking at the original packet on this case, and I found it on pages 20 and 21. It's my original request, and it's the initial police department response to my request. The response to my request is dated March 8th, 2022. My request is dated January 28th,
And do
2022.
you mention in your initial request emails between the police department and the DA's office?
It's in my initial, I'm holding a copy of the police response, and they're sort of going down my requests.
Okay, so Lieutenant Ozol, if you could refer back to the original request and if you could do a search based on that original request for emails between the police department and the DA's office as Mr. Spencer originally requested. If he's asking for something that was beyond the scope of that, he needs to file a new request. But so if you, and I'm
Gotcha.
going to ask this because I don't want to necessarily make him wait until we meet again.
Mhm.
If you could do that search and get back to him within.
I would suggest this is one where we can continue it. We can continue it to the call of the chair. And at some point, if Mr. Spencer is satisfied, then I don't think we need to calendar it again.
Okay.
And if he's not satisfied, then we're happy to talk about it again.
Okay, how about that?
Work?
I agree, as long as there's progress.
Okay, so Lieutenant Ozol, if you could do that email search and work with Mr. Spencer, whether it's bringing him into one of your offices to sit down and listen to those tapes in person, or if you're able to digitize that for him. I don't think he cares. He just wants to be able to listen to them in some format. And we will, I think, then wait to hear from Mr. Spencer. And actually, Mr. Spencer, if you could both update us on what you're doing, and Mr. Spencer, if you could let us know if you have received everything you were looking for and are satisfied, and then we can close the case.
Oh, yes, I will be in touch.
Okay.
Okay, very well.
So
I will absolutely do that.
hold on, but before you go away, I need a motion on this. Would someone like to make a motion who is not me?
I will move to continue this to the call of the chair with and we can either include or not include, with the understanding that when we hear from Mr. Spencer, if he's satisfied, that'll close it. If he's not satisfied, we'll have a further hearing.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Is that a second by Member Wolf or Member Anderson?
I heard Member Anderson first, but I don't know if that's because of the lag in the audio.
It
Sorry,
is.
Member Wolf.
It's neck and neck there.
Okay. And Ms. Peterson.
And I'm not putting a date on this.
Right. And Ms. Peterson, once you're ready, let's open this up for public comment.
And I'm sorry, Member Pilpel, you moved?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item number 7, file 23086, please approach the podium or raise your hand in the app or press *3. I'll give you a moment. We have no one in the room approaching the podium, no public comment online.
Okay, please call the vote.
Taking the vote on item number 7, file 23086, Member Pilpel.
Aye.
Member Pilpel, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair LaHood.
Aye.
Chair LaHood, aye. 4 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Spencer, Lieutenant Ozol, thank you for being here. I'm glad to see the progress on this case. I hope we don't see you back here on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Marcus.
the members of the committee, and thank you, Mr. Spencer.
Thank you.
Thank you, parties. Chair
Okay,
LaHood,
yes.
we do have a request asking if item 9 could be heard. We have time constraints. Item number 9 is file 25003, complaint by Justin Barker against the San Francisco Zoo.
Okay, we have time constraints all around. I think we're going to be moving through things rather quickly. I did say to Mr. Neha that we would be taking his next. But if we wrap everything up in the hour, in 1 hour, will that satisfy everyone's time constraints?
We have a yes.
Okay, great. If we could move on to items number 5 and 6, which we will be taking together. We're looking for Mr. Neha and San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency.
Okay, one moment. Hi, confirming that this is Mr. Neha.
Yes, I'm here.
One moment, please. Moving you to panelist. Checking for the MTA before I call the item. Hello, caller, beginning with 415948. Are you calling from the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency? Please raise your hand in the app or press *3, or I'll just call on you. Hello, caller, are you from SFMTA? We only have Mr. Nihai in the room. I'll call the items.
Yes, please.
Do I have
think-
to recall the items?
I think we already called them.
We did already call the items.
Okay, we
Yes.
have Mr. Nihai available.
Okay, Mr. Neha, I would like to give you 5 minutes, and I hope that SFMTA shows up after that. Otherwise, we will proceed. If you could give us an update on any progress that has been made since you were before the task force, that would be great. And Ms. Peterson will let you know when she's ready with the timer.
Mr. Neha, are you ready for your 5 minutes to start?
I am.
They start now.
Okay, thank you. There isn't much to report other than the SFMTA has failed to provide the documents that they were requested to provide. It's been a consistent practice. I have to say that following all of the hearings that we had, and whenever there was a request, follow-up request, that SFMTA provides documents that they failed to provide with the original request, there was only one instance when they actually did that. There was a case involving an email from city attorney and Shana Dines was the only person that, only in one instance provided the documents that I asked. In all other instances, SFMTA has been consistently ignoring the recommendations and the results of this task force, doing that on purpose. As I mentioned earlier, they are very strongly committed. They committed a lot of resources and a lot of time and efforts to intentionally hide the documents, very basic documents that I believe should be disclosed and the general public has the right to know, and they continue to do that. I don't have much to add, and especially given that we have the time restraint, I will give up the rest.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Neha. Do we have anyone from SFMTA here?
Checking one more time. We do not.
Okay, let's turn off the timer. And members, do you have any questions for Mr. Neha, or would anyone like to make a motion?
Just one quick question for Mr. Neha. What records in these two cases are still at issue? This is unrelated to your other matters.
Yes, it is unrelated. I'm actually looking for it specifically right now. 2036. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mr. Neha is looking. I don't have a strong view on this. If it makes sense to send this to the full task force, let's do that. If we can close it, let's do that. If we should continue it, let's do that. I think it would be useful going forward to include not just Ms. Celaya, but perhaps Ms. Silva or somebody else at MTA.
Let's ask Ms. Peterson, did we receive positive, affirmative plans to attend from anyone at SFMTA?
We received no statement.
Oh, so we did not know whether they were going to show up.
Right. They
Huh.
were notified,
Okay,
page 36,
yep.
but it only went to Ms. Celaya. And for all I know, she could be on vacation. I don't know. I mean, an agency that big, I think they should have a backup person to Ms. Celaya. And whether it's Ms. Silva or somebody else, it should be somebody. And I don't want to dump this on Hank Wilson necessarily, unless he's the guy. But he's just the parking policy person. In any event, as to how to proceed on this, because I want to get to that.
Yeah.
What's your feeling? I don't have a strong view. I don't care.
Member Wolf, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with Member Paul on that one. I don't know. I think we need to hear from MTA.
I do too.
If they're not going to show up, then I think we need to find in favor of Mr. Neha and compel them to produce.
Well, we already did that.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
that has already been done. And when, when respondents don't show up to CAC hearings, my inclination is to send it back to the full task force for, because I feel like sometimes, I don't know if it's that people take the committee hearings less seriously or they get lost in the shuffle. But also, we could also refer it back to the full task force, or we could refer it to Chair Yankee and leave it up to him whether to schedule it for the full task force or to have us schedule it again for a next committee hearing. But I kind of think next task force is more efficient.
Yeah, I don't want to keep having it come back.
Yeah.
Come back and come back. I mean, if there's some recommendation we want to put out with, to get it out of this committee, then let's do that. Let's discuss what that is.
Why don't we just try that?
Yeah, send it back to the full task
Yeah.
force, saying that the respondent has neither produced the records nor
Period.
appeared
Yeah.
as requested
Yeah.
before the compliance and commitment.
I can agree with that. This has been going on for years.
Would you like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that this matter be referred back to
The full task force?
the full task force for hearing for noncompliance by the respondent.
So just to clarify, I'm with that. So it's to refer it to the full task force, that the respondent has not produced the records or appeared. In a sense, we would invite the respondent to explain in writing what's going on if they think that they're done, or if there are records that are still at issue, both in writing and at the full
Okay,
task.
you're making it complicated. I think we have to refer back to the full task force.
I agree. I'm supporting that, but I'm saying that they need to explain. They need to do something.
Oh, I agree.
Otherwise, it's at the full task force and we'll deal with it.
No, I
there
think it's
when
at
we
the
have
full
one.
task force regardless.
Yes. I'm seconding the motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
Moved by Member Anderson, seconded by Member Pilbel. To refer the matter to the full task force, saying that the respondent has not produced the records or appeared before the Compliance and Amendments Committee.
Correct. Do we have any public comment on this motion?
And that's keeping items 5 and 6 together.
Right, that's keeping items 5 and 6 together.
That's on items 5 and 6. That motion is on items 5 and 6, files 23020 and 23036. Anyone wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium or raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, please call the vote.
Calling the vote on items 5 and 6, files 23020 and 23036. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Pilpel.
Aye.
Member Pilpel, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair LaHood.
Aye.
Chair LaHood, 4 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Nihat, thank you for coming. I'm sorry that this is dragging out, but I'm hoping by referring it back to the full task force, we can get some motion on this.
I hope so too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Peterson, when you're ready, let's call item number 9.
One moment. Item number 9. File number 25003, complaint filed by Justin Barker against the San Francisco Zoo for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.21 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. On April 2nd, 2025, the task force found that the Zoological Society has not complied with an order of determination that was issued on February 5, 2025 to produce records, and that the task force has jurisdiction under the San Francisco Zoo Lease and Management Agreement 1993, Section E of the recital section and Section 16.2, and that the Recreation and Parks is responsible for any records or requests to the society. The task force asked that the Recreation and Parks General Manager, Phil Ginsburg, facilitate the production of these records. The matter will be monitored by the Compliance Amendments Committee at its meeting of April 22nd, 2025, and referred to the full task force at its meeting of May 7, 2025 for follow-up if needed.
Okay, I see we have Mr. Barker here. Do we have someone? I know we have this letter from
Phil Ginsburg.
Phil Ginsburg. Do we have anyone from Rec and Park or other representative for the respondent?
Hello, caller. Are you here for item number 9, file 25003?
Would be actually.
Hello, caller. You've been unmuted. Are you here for the item regarding Justin Barker and the San Francisco Zoo?
This is Paul Knief. I'm not here for that item.
Thank you very much. I am muting you. We have no one here from the zoo or Recreation and Parks.
Okay, well, then I would like to first hear from Mr. Barker about what he has received. And does Mr. Barker have a copy of this letter? Okay.
I do.
Yes,
Great.
Mr. Barker was also CC'd
Okay.
on the communication.
Ms. Peterson, if you could set the timer and let's give Mr. Barker 5 minutes to give us an update.
Mr. Barker, are you ready?
Yes.
Your time begins now.
Thank you. Just to update you, I have received no records from the San Francisco Zoo, and I was really happy to receive this letter yesterday. I think it's like a step in the right direction that Sunshine Ordinance Task Force asked for the Rec and Park to be responsive, and this letter seems like they are responding. I think this is just the beginning of this process because from my experience talking to current and former employees, the culture at San Francisco Zoo is one of secrecy. Management withholds all sorts of things, even from their like highest up staff. So I'm cautiously optimistic that the zoo will step forward, and I'm happy to see this letter. So it's nice to be here and see that there's some sort of progress, but I am not holding my breath that San Francisco Zoo is going to do its part on this matter.
Okay, thank you. Members, do we have any questions or comments?
I have a question. Are we talking about the letter from page 8?
Ms. Peterson, did you send a copy of this does Member Wolf have this?
Yes, Member Wolf, you should have received a copy of the email from Rec and Park along with an attachment?
25033, is that the right one? Yeah.
2533.
Yeah,
That's
I got
correct.
it. I got it. I got it. Thanks.
Chair Littlewood?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and I need to go in the next 10 minutes or so. I agree that this is progress. I too am cautiously optimistic, but they're still not here, and you still had records requests that are sitting somewhere. So I don't know how to keep moving this thing. I think, you know, and there are other bits and pieces about the zoo's website and the joint zoo committee and putting something on there to reflect this, that if people have concerns about their compliance with sunshine, be it meetings or records, that those are best directed to Ms. Summers to begin with. That would be helpful, but they're still not here one way or another. And I'm struggling to figure out how to get you the records that you asked for months ago.
Well, it does seem, and I'm just going to jump in, it seems even in our agenda, and I remember at our last full task force hearing, we wanted to keep this moving, and, you know, our mandate, you know, this matter will be monitored by the Compliance and Amendments Committee at its meeting of April 22nd, 2025, and referred to the full task force at its meeting of May 7th, 2025 for follow-up if needed, and I think it is needed. Again, I would agree with everyone. I'm happy to see this letter. It makes me hopeful that we'll see some records returned. And I think, Ms. Peterson, we need to, yes,
Chair,
Member
it should be
Anderson.
noted that they say in this letter that the records pertaining to this file should be submitted within a timely manner. I've got air quotes up, but no later than May 1, 2025.
Okay.
So if we move it to our next full task force, if we move it to our next full task force meeting, according to this letter, the record should have been submitted and we can say, yes,
Right.
we can close, or no, we can't.
Right. So I would recommend that we make a motion to refer this back to the full task force for the May 7th hearing. And Ms. Peterson, could we get in touch directly with Ms. Summers, request her attendance, and let her know that Mr. Barker has not received the records he requested, and that we would like Rec and Park to stand by this letter and make sure that the records are produced in advance of our May 7th task force meeting and by May 1st as promised.
I will contact Ashley Summers, ask her to confirm that the documents have been received by May 1 and will attend May 7.
That would be amazing. Would someone who is not me like to make that motion?
You want to do it?
And I did the last one.
I'll do this one then.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Member Piltel's going to actually say the words, and then Member Wolf can second.
I move that we refer this matter back to the full task force, consistent with the letter and the representations,
Second.
whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you want to say in it.
Well, so you're referring it back to the full task force and with the request that Ms. Summers appear before the task force so as to comply with.
And that hopefully they will comply as they indicated, no later than May 1.
There we go. Do we have any public comment on this?
And sorry to Ms. Peterson, that we should include Tanya Peterson in the notice for that, so that somebody might appear from the zoo if they choose to, but definitely Ms. Summers and Tiffany Lynn Wilson as well on behalf of Phil. So there are at least 2 people at Rec Park that are getting this.
Director Peterson is a named party. Ashley Summers is notified. General Manager Ginsburg is notified.
Got it. Okay,
Great.
that works, just so that they're all getting it. Thank you.
Public comment. We have no one in the room making public comment. Members of the online community, if you'd like to make public comment on item 9, file 25003, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the room wishing to make public comment and no one online.
I think Mr. Barker had a quick comment before we vote.
That was a call for public comment?
No, I think Mr. Barker had a quick comment before we vote.
Did you?
I had something really quick. I just wanted to thank you all because I've been at this for 6 years, and I feel like the maneuvering that has happened has at least got us to this point. So it just feels like it feels like a really good step. So I'm just grateful for the work that you do and the maneuvering that happens to make these things happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Peterson, shall we call the vote?
Taking the vote on item 9, file 25003. Member Pilpel.
Aye.
Member Pilpel, aye.
It was seconded by Member Wolf.
Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Chair LaHood.
Aye.
Chair LaHood, aye. 4 ayes.
Okay, we'll see you in May. Okay, I know so I am going to recommend that we postpone, that we continue item 10, and I would like to jump to item 11 quickly, because I wanted to see if it's possible that we meet next Tuesday, which would be the 5th Tuesday, when I think this room is available, just to talk about the Sunshine Ordinance. Is that possible?
This is Member Anderson. I will not be available.
Oh, you know what? Now that we're saying that, I'm remembering that you weren't available. Ms. Peterson, would it be possible to schedule another CAC special hearing sometime in the near future just to discuss the ordinance?
And I'm sorry, which month are we not available?
The 29th, Member Anderson is not available.
29th of,
Sorry, April. I was looking at that as a 5th
Okay.
Tuesday.
so we're looking at May or going forward?
I think so, unless, are you,
I'm out of town.
okay, out of town that whole week? Yeah, so we're looking at May or going forward. And Member Pilpel, we will circle. Member Pilpel is leaving.
It's 5:45, and I'm available for second meeting.
Okay.
Member Pilpel is absent at 5:45.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yes, I can check for other dates.
In theory, what might our options be so that Member Anderson and Member Wolf can look at their calendars?
I do not know.
Okay.
Most other meetings are regular meetings and I don't know those schedules.
Okay. And so we would slot in if somebody else has postponed or canceled a meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
And yes, I will check.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I need clarification. What happened with item 10?
So item 10, well, I was, so we could talk about item 10 for a little bit, but my question is to you. Do you want to talk about item 10 for 20
I have
minutes?
something I want to present.
About item 10.
Yes.
Then you know what? Let's hear it. Shall we hear that? I think that would be great.
Calling item number 10, hearing, review of,
Hard stop at 10 after, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, great.
calling item number 10, hearing, review of the Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67, beginning with Chapter 67.26, and possible amendments to recommend to the full task force.
Member Wolf, you have the floor.
Yes, so I brought this to the attention of Chair Yankee, and he suggested that it was worthwhile discussion that could possibly be an amendment. The San Francisco Ethics Commission's interested persons mailing list, which is what they send out for their agendas and minutes. This one was dated April 11th. Has a matter of a person named Avava Afahamango. The commission unanimously approved $1,000 in penalties through a settlement agreement with a member of the Sheriff's Department of Oversight. $1,000 in penalties through a settlement agreement with a member of the Sheriff's Department Oversight Board for one count of failure to file an annual certificate, ethics training, and sunshine ordinance declaration. And there are other issues unrelated to that. So my thought was, wow, we had just gotten through a very tense meeting in April this month about the Ethics Commission not taking up issues of our sunshine referrals. And here they're penalizing a person for $1,000 for not having completed their training, which is somewhat of a low bar for our purposes. So I'm wondering if there's something we can glean on from this with regards to referrals, like if somebody does a willful failure, that that it be reported that they're in violation of the training or something like that. And wondering if it might fall within their purview of making something punitive here.
I have a question. Are you suggesting that if an elected official or a city employee is not complying with the ordinance, that we say they are not complying with the training they have received and could be fined?
Yeah, like they're incompetent. Sunshine.
That's very creative.
Something like that. And that they, it could also be a fine, and they have to go for a retraining where the actual exam actually, the questions that they ask, that actually counts. They have to pass it. And if they don't pass it, then a recommendation could be that it's, some sort of, conduct issue. I'm just, it's kind of a rabbit out of a hat in a way, but I just found it just felt like somewhat of a slap in the face to read this when they wouldn't even consider our referrals. Just seemed I don't know. They're holding trainings at a high enough bar to find someone, but our referrals are, at a very I don't know what it takes at this point.
Bruce, are you looking at this as a way to help fix some of the city budget shortfalls?
Yeah, the $1,000 isn't gonna make a dent.
Well, it depends on how. Well, this is interesting. Member Anderson, what do you think?
You got me soon something.
Oh, she's.
I think it's very interesting, and I think it may be a novel way to get them to do something. Because basically, if we sent over something, willful failure to apply the training from given by Ethics Committee, and with our suggestion that the department head or employee be compelled to retake the training.
Yep. And that an exam, there must be, they must pass an exam.
Exactly. And if they say no, then it's like, oh, so this isn't really that important?
Well, then it's willful failure.
Then they have to pay the fine.
Yeah.
They got to pay the fine, right?
This is interesting. So do you want to take this back to the, do you want to tell Chair Yankee that we are intrigued and
Sure.
you want to bring this to the full task force?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, it demands a little bit of, kind of mechanics.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth a discussion. But I just, I don't know. It's just like a smack in my face, reading it. And
How often does ethics issue fines that aren't related to like campaign finance violations?
it's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare, but this is one of
May I call upon Ms. Peterson? No, I may not. No, never mind.
We could make a public records request.
We could make a, yeah.
Yeah, we could. This is true ethics, though. This is not like campaign financing regulations. I mean, this is, requirements that are local to the city.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, Bruce, I'm wondering if, not to make work for you, but I wonder if it might be helpful for you or someone from the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force to actually ask ethics what fines have they issued in the past year or the past 6 months. Just for reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get these notices. I could certainly just review the notices.
Oh, you get notices when fines are issued.
You're referring to the notices that were issued by the Fair Political Practices Commission or the Ethics Commission?
No, the Ethics Commission. They call it interested persons mailing list. And this is how they notice their meetings and agendas and the minutes or the results of their determinations.
Do you also receive the FPPC, Fair Political Practices notices?
No, I have no need for it.
That might contain additional information. I think that might contain additional information. So maybe just to save you the trouble of going through all your email, I think just asking them for an index of all fines that you've issued in the past 12 months
that are not FPPC related.
Yeah.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
And if I could get some letterhead, that would be helpful.
I have no control over that.
No, that would be Chair Yankee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That was interesting, related to the Sunshine Ordinance. But I do think, I'm glad that we got through so many other items today. In some ways, maybe compressing that all together was helpful. But I do think if Administrator Peterson can help us find a free day, that I think it would, because I know there's concern that we need to focus and get through the rest of the ordinance and start presenting some high-level recommendations. And I would like to do that at a special meeting, just focused on the ordinance. So on that note, so we did call item number 10. Can we, unless there's any, I don't know that we can get through. That sounds like someone's modem. But
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, okay. We should probably, let's call for public comment.
We have one hand
On-
raised.
Okay, great.
Hello, caller. Do you wish to make public comment on item 10? The discussion. of the
No, this is,
administrative notes.
this is Paul Kaniha. If anybody is still interested, I actually found materials that have not been disclosed, if it's still relevant.
I'm sorry, Mr. Neha, I'm not sure what you're referring. Are you referring to a previous item?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. It was regarding the previous item. I found the materials that the agency was supposed to disclose, but they didn't.
I'm going to recommend that you forward that to Ms. Peterson, and we will make sure to include that at the next hearing on that item.
Sounds good. I'll do
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So to confirm, you have no public comment on item 10.
No, not
Thank
on
you.
this item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no one in the room, no hands raised.
Okay, let's call item 11, even though I sort of took that out of order, but I'm realizing let's be formal about it.
Item 11, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the Compliance and Amendments Committee.
Okay, so to put this in the right place and to restate something I said earlier, I would like for us, although it was related to item 10 as well, I would like for us to the best of our abilities, schedule a special meeting where we will just focus on doing our final review on the whole sunshine ordinance and initiating our discussion on what high-level points we want to bring back to the task force. And Ms. Peterson, if you can help us with scheduling on that, that would be amazing.
I will. So to confirm, oh. so
And it would
we're-
have to be in May or later.
Okay, so that's item 11. Okay, I will check and see available dates
Okay,
and I will report back to the chair.
great. Members, any other items for future discussion that you would like to add that weren't related to the sunshine ordinance, which Member Wolf brought up attached to the appropriate item?
I don't have anything.
Okay. One last opportunity for public comment.
Mr. Neha, you are the only individual online. I do not see your hand raised. Calling one more time for public comment. Mr. Neha, if you would like to make public comment, raise your hand. We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised online.
Okay. Then Ms. Peterson, please call the final item.
Item 12, adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, members. We
Thank
are
you,
adjourned
everyone.
At 6 p.m.
Bruce, see you in May.
See you in May.
You and me.
Microphones are off.